Welcome. This is CJ Holmes, founder of Homeowners for Justice, sharing with you today a brief overview of how to file an OCC complaint, what it is, why owners need to use it, and what you can expect to get from it. Before we move on, though, I want to again make sure that you understand that I'm not an attorney, a CPA, a loan modification expert, or a securitization expert. I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of California, and I don't provide legal, tax, loan mod, or securitization advice. However, I've been working very hard to summarize and express in terms that owners can understand and follow the ways you can fight back to try to keep your home from being foreclosed on. I want you to make sure you understand I cannot guarantee the effectiveness of any of these efforts. The facts are these. The owners are up against entities, business companies, corporations, servicers who use fraud as a business model. They have been cheating for years and getting away with it. So whatever we do to fight back is we just do best efforts basis. So please understand I can't be held liable for any loss or damage that you might experience in following any of these suggestions or strategies. And I really do just wish you the very, very best. And I thank you for considering joining this battle. Only when hundreds of thousands, millions of owners rise up and insist that the banks stop these fraudulent activities and get them criminally prosecuted, only then are they going to stop. Until then, they're just going to keep it up. I also want to make sure that you understand that the website, Homeowner for Justice, HOFJ.org, and the contents on it can just change overnight. The fact is, we're constantly updating as best we can with the latest and greatest efforts in helping people fight back and keep their homes. So today, we're going to focus on they're called OCC complaints, and most people go, huh? What's an OCC? An OCC, turns out, is a federal agency. It's the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. It oversees now the mega banks because the Office of Thrift Supervision, OTS, recently, last couple of years, was rolled into the OCC agency. So now the owners, we think of the OCC as overseeing the mega banks. It turns out, and I'm going to show you where on my webpage you can find this information, but in 2011, the OCC issued cease and desist orders. What that means is the regulator told the servicers, think of the 5 mega banks plus 6 other servicers, to stop forging documents to foreclose. And they didn't do it. And in last year, just about a year ago, April 4, 2012, the Department of Justice, the United States Department of Justice, issued consent judgments, meaning you are going to stop these fraudulent practices and you are going to do it correctly from now on. And the banks signed off and said, aye, aye, sir. Did they do it? No. They didn't stop. We've got proof they didn't stop. So today we're going to focus on what can I do with that proof? One of the things you can do is file an OCC complaint. Here is the Homeowner for Justice website, and you'll notice that this is the foreclosure defense, the very first foreclosure defense page under that section, and it's called 11 Foreclosure Defense Considerations. As we scroll down, the first one is number 1, always and for every megabank infraction, file an OCC complaint. Now, you'll notice that OCC complaint is underlined, which means I have another web page specifically dedicated to filing an OCC complaint. And here are the basic 4 steps. The first thing you need to do is go to the website and click on that, and I will show you in a minute how to do it. But I want you to understand the whole concept first. When you file it online, Fairly quickly, a response comes back from the OCC by email saying, you now have an active complaint. And it says some more stuff. I would print that, be sure you keep it, and I would then forward that by email, by fax, by certified signed receipt requested to the foreclosure trustee. This is specifically if you right now are facing a foreclosure auction. If your property has a scheduled auction date, you do this right now. Do this today. It's not that tricky, and you're going to finish the rest of this little workshop, and you're going to go, oh, I can do that. Yes, you can. And when you get that response back, you forward that to your foreclosure trustee legal department and keep it on hand, because what the foreclosure trustee will typically do is postpone the auction for 30 days. So about 20 days from, about 10 days before the next auction, 20 days from now, file it again with the foreclosure trustee. Keep postponing the auction. The feedback I get from people doing this strategy is that they will often start with 60 days. That's because the OCC complaint process is a 60-day process. You complain to the OCC, they take your complaints, they submit it to the servicer, the mega bank, and the mega bank has some time to respond, and then they get back to you. So back and forth, back and forth. So back to the complaint page, right here, here's the 4 steps, and then I want you to show when you click on the OCC website, this is what it looks like. This is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency website for filing a bank complaint. You'll see right here it says online customer complaint form recommended. Trust me, they recommend. Do it by online website. That's the fastest and surest way to get that complaint registered. When you click on it, they're going to come up and say, here's some helpful hints, and you can go next, and then they start filling in the blanks. And this is what a complaint form looks like. This is the OCC complaint form. They have a PDF file, so you can print that. You can open it up and print it so that you can see the kinds of things they're going to be asking. So they want your information. They want to know which mega bank. They want to know the loan number. They're going to ask you, have you tried to settle it? They'll ask you some basic questions. And then they're going to give you 4,000 characters with which to file your complaint. See, and that's your complaint information. And so that's what I want to show you on the website here on Homeowners for Justice on filing complaints. Here's a sample complaint. We've written one up and saved it. It's relatively generic, and the whole idea is you write your own, but this is how you can do it. This is the kind of logic involved. This is the kind of things people are saying. And before I show you that, I want to talk about the types of things that seem to be appropriate to complain about. There's a bunch of them. And so whatever applies to you, you file that as a complaint. So if the servicer lies to you, like says you can do a trial loan modification, just make 50% of your payments for 3 months, just send us cash. I'm not going to give you anything in writing because this is just a trial, and then if you qualify by making those payments, you'll get a loan modification. That's illegal. That's illegal. Don't let them take your money. It will never be applied to your loan. That's one thing to complain about. No single point of contact. You're just dumped from person to person to person. They're saying, oh sure, we're working on your loan mod while they start foreclosing. It's illegal. It's illegal not only in California state law, but it's illegal according to the consent judgments. Now the consent judgments, and I'm going to show you here where you can find them. If you go to this is the foreclosure defense page, the 11 considerations, right on number 1 with filing the OCC complaint. Here's all the consent judgments right here. I've uploaded them all for you. I've linked them here. So you've got the 2012 consent judgments from the Department of Justice. That's for GMAC, B of A, Chase, Citibank, and Wells. And I've also got the 11 OCC consent orders. They told them to cease and desist, stop robo-signing, stop forging documents, stop foreclosing illegally. It's basically what they said. You read them. And it's really fairly quick. It's a page and a half. on each of these OCC consent orders, starting on about page 2, to Aurora, B of A, Citibank, Everbank, HSBC, Chase, MetLife, One West, PNC, Sovereign Bank, US Bank, and Wells Fargo. Every one of them signed off and said, aye, we'll stop doing this. Every one of them did not stop. They will not stop until we stop them. You must understand that. Do not believe anything any one of these banks or servicers says to you. Do not believe them. They get paid to lie. Every time they cheat and lie, they make more money. It's a perverse incentive, and they will continue to do this until we remove the incentives and prosecute them criminally. Mark my words. So back to filing a complaint and what the complaints center around. I've got them right here on this page of filing an OCC complaint. Here they are on the little overhead. Remember, they're lying to you. If they lie to you about a trial loan mod, that is totally illegal. If they tell you that a default, you must stop making your loan payments for 60 days before we can talk to you about either a short sale or a loan modification, they're lying to you. It's illegal to do that. Use that as a complaint with the OCC. They may well refuse to talk to you until you are in default, but it's a scam. It's a way to get you to default, because once you default, then they can foreclose on the house, and they can drive you batty if you think about and try to work with them in expecting to get honest non-lies back. People are literally shooting themselves over this. This has become an egregious problem. I welcome your effort to support this, and please join all the hundreds and hopefully thousands and millions of owners in this country that are going to start fighting back. So here's another one. The servicer refuses to accept my payment. I hear that a lot, and it's because perversely, when they don't take your payment, they can charge you a late fee. They make more money. In the end, they push people into foreclosure, and they get all this reimbursement of these fees, all the fake fees that they've come up with that you haven't challenged them on and fought them on and forced them to stop doing. They get paid out of the trustees. These are all securitized loans. And so the poor investors think our pension funds, they get dinged. They get dinged. The people are getting dinged everywhere you look because the banks are in the center and they're dinging everybody. We have to gang up on them. Oh, here's one, being denied a loan modification. Complain about it. I don't really care even what the reason is. Force them to reapply. The chances are they have not calculated your payments correctly. So the NPV, the net present value, is inaccurate. The studies have already shown that over 50% of the loan modifications that were denied should have been done. They lied about the NPV so that they could foreclose. They make money foreclosing. They don't make money doing loan mods. So what would you do if you were them and didn't have any rules that you had to follow? It's a no-brainer. Of course they're going to foreclose. Of course they're going to cheat. Of course they're going to lie. And that's the point. If the Department of Justice and the OCC have not been able to rein in the bank's behaviors, and they have not, it's up to us. And we can. This is one way to start the process. False notarizations and false signatures are another reason for an OCC complaint. We're not going to go into them talking about how I discover if my recorded documents have false notarizations or false signatures on them. That's another workshop. That's going to be the analysis of my recorded documents. But nevertheless, understand that those can be valid OCC complaints. Now, there are a couple of other agencies I want to bring to your attention real quickly, and before we start looking at, what does a complaint look like? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is available, and they enforce RESPA actions. These links, by the way, are on the website. And please take a note. I'm going to leave this up here for a few minutes. The California Settlement Monitor website is linked on Homeowners for Justice. But the moderator, this is his name, Charles Carriere, and his number is 949-824-3071. If you have a complaint about the settlement, this is the Attorney General settlement, this is the $25 billion that is coming to California in particular. I'm talking about California, but to all 48 other states. 49 states signed on to that. And this guy is the moderator, and he's supposed to oversee how this is working. And the 25B came out of the consent judgments I just talked about. So the judge, the Department of Justice, and the court orders the banks civilly, civil penalties. They agreed to $25 billion. It's spread out amongst the country. And this guy is supposed to be in charge. So you don't like something? Give him a call. So you see right here on the filing complaints page, if you scroll down, here's the two links I just talked about, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the California Monitor website. This is what the Monitor website looks like. California Monitor, a program of the California Attorney General. And so this is for Californians. Chances are every state has some kind of a monitor system set up to monitor this bank settlement. Find out, just Google it. I'm sure you can find out. And here's how you can contact them and get this information. So as we look at the filing the complaints, this is an example. Here, we'll go back to this page. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, when I talked about on the steps of sending this information to the foreclosure trustees, here's the foreclosure trustees for you, just in case you wanted to know how to contact them. And don't forget to log everything. But here's the list of California foreclosure trustees and contact information. You'll see that there's 12 or 13 of them. And then there's some out-of-state foreclosure trustees and their contact information. And it turns out that when you want to go after these corporations to criminally charge them, to prosecute them for the fraud that they are creating, it will need to be done at the state level. And the states are going to say, I can only prosecute a corporation that's in the borders of my state, that's incorporated in my state. So I'm telling you, people in Texas, you guys can prosecute First American Trustee Servicing Solution and Index West. Washington, come on guys, you guys prosecute Regional Trustee Services. Atlanta, Georgia, you can go after Western Progressive LLC. Phoenix, National Default Servicing Corp. But notice there's a whole bunch here in California. And it's really imperative that owners rise up, follow these strategies, send me your documents. I'll make sure they get to the California Attorney General's office for a statewide grand jury. That is the point. That's the only way that people are going to be able to get criminal prosecution against these banksters. So here's a sample complaint. Let's just quickly take a look at it. Remember, the limit is 4,000 characters, so that's a little bit of a trick. And I've written here in red, you don't send the red part, the red is instruction, that you would change it to your situation. And so you would send it to the master servicer. Who's the master servicer on your account? Who used to service the loan, like Bank of America or Chase. Now they've sold it off to what I call their subservicer dragons. For example, Aquin, Green Tree, those kinds of entities. Most of them are offshore. Most of them are wholly owned subsidiaries of the banks. They're keeping this all in-house, but they're trying to show a picture as if, oh, we've washed our hands. Trust me, they haven't. They're making money hand over fist on everything they do. The foreclosure trustee, you would have to pick the correct one off that list. This is just an example. And then, since it only allows 4,000 characters, I recommend you use a document like Word document where it counts characters. That's the easiest thing to do. It'll say word count, and when you click on word count in the Word document software, it'll say how many characters. So you can type away and edit, get that ready, then copy and paste that into the online form. So it starts with due to a loss of income, whatever your situation is. and what you complain about. Some people have specific things they can complain about, that payments weren't applied. This is where, if you watch the qualified written request letter and you get information back from the bank based on that letter that you've sent as an owner to the servicer, and they start sending you information that doesn't match your records, stick it right here. That's a very valid complaint. Hey, they're lying to me. I made this payment, they didn't credit my account. These are fabulous OCC complaint fodder and reasons to complain. Maybe it's an illegal loan modification denial. Maybe they gave you a reason that is wrong. Maybe they've calculated the information incorrectly. Maybe they've lied to you on the phone. Maybe they've failed to respond to your qualified written request. And if so, you're welcome to copy this verbiage, create your own. Just the whole point is file one and file it today. Maybe there's a false statement in one of your recorded documents. Maybe you've watched the recorded documents analysis and you look at your documents and you start understanding what you read. And then you can say, oh my goodness, they made a false statement. They said here that they have these documents. They don't. This is a lie. This is a lie. Anytime any one of these servicers or sub-servicers or third-party entities involved with the mega bank is doing something wrong, file a complaint about it. Maybe you've discovered the forged signatures. Maybe you've done that notary complaint and you've listened to that workshop and you've filed and gotten the notary oath signatures and you've compared with the ones on your document and you've looked at the suspicious signatures page and you've found that one of the signers, let's take Malik Baserto, is on your document, and you notice that there's like 15 other documents that I've now found with all these different signatures for the same name. And you say, my goodness, that's obviously suspicious to me. And so you want to complain about it because the bank is using forged documents to foreclose, particularly if it's after April 2011. They already said then, that's when the OCC came down. So even if it's as unrecent as 2 years ago, even if it was done in 2007, it's still fraud and forgery. It still qualifies for an OCC complaint. So this is just an example that you can follow. Remember, the best complaint is one that's filed today and followed through on so that you can stop your foreclosure auction and start building a case to keep your home for yourself. Your neighbors can keep their homes as more and more of us join together to file these complaints and to insist that this fraud is criminally prosecuted. The more likely we are to shut down our foreclosure trustee mills that are committing the fraud. Thank you. This is CJ Holmes, founder of Homeowners for Justice, signing off on this workshop. See you soon.